Welcome to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. The Senate debates democracy in Trinidad and Tobago. The local government minister takes a firm stance against unfair practices and poor work quality. And good news for our senior citizens. Thank you for joining us. To our top story, there is word today that the government is committed to the maintenance, development and expansion of democracy in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, the word comes from Government Senator the Honorable Mbao Mohini. He was contributing in the Senate on a private motion entitled Commitment to Democracy. The minister also revealed that citizens can look forward to a civil society board coming soon.
So while the People's Partnership Government is committed to the maintenance, the development, and the expansion of democracy in Trinidad and Tobago, we saved this country from a creeping dictatorship that was being foisted on the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
A strong affirmation as he spoke about government's stance on democracy in this country. Minister Mohini says the government is seeking to proceed with the development between civil society and the heads of state.
Because throughout this nation, there are several non-governmental organizations with several dedicated persons who are seeking to serve this nation in so many ways.
He sought to remind the Parliament that it was way back in 1997 that the government became a signatory to the CARICOM Charter for Civil Society.
But presently, what did this government meet? Little consultation, little opportunity for civil society to have their voices reach the right places in a structured, constructive, and progressive manner.
He adds that this is why the government has had several consultations with civil society organizations, which came under the Office of the Prime Minister and the Ministry of National Diversity and Social Integration. In addition, he says this is why the government also had consultations with civil society organizations, 14 of which he says would have come under the Office of the Prime Minister and 2 under the Ministry of National Diversity and Social Integration.
Reaching out to civil society, getting their feedback, and we are in the process of facilitating elections where civil society representatives would have the opportunity to elect a civil society board which would interact and interface with the government so that their ideas and their wishes could be considered to become part of government policy for the development of our nation.
Minister Mbao Mohini says the government is seeking to give the opportunity to go beyond service to policy. He says the Civil Society Board would have representation from different sectors including education, technology, health, justice, agriculture, sport, culture, the environment, faith-based organizations, and many more. Joseph Lopez, News 4.
Government has taken a firm stance against unfair practices which are to the detriment of the national population. This position was further strengthened by the Minister of Local Government, who explained how he guides his ministry.
Local government councillors, staff and contract awardees have been warned against unfair practices and poor quality work. The warning comes from Minister of Local Government, the Honourable Suraj Ratan Rambachan, as he spoke of the disciplinary implications of such actions.
One of the things I'm doing at local government is I'm asking the councillors and asking the corporation to pay more attention to quality assurance. And several contractors have found themselves in trouble with the ministry in that they have not been paid for jobs at least in this last fiscal year, because the jobs have not measured up to the quality and the scope of works and standards that was expected of them. So, you know, if you're working for the regional corporations, you're going to find it a tough game with this minister, because I'm not going to accept substandard work.
The Honourable Minister highlighted several programs and initiatives which have been undertaken by the present administration. These, he noted, were aimed at alleviating poverty and fostering an all-encompassing society. One such initiative that is noteworthy is that of the National Commission for Self-Help Limited, which provides housing for the indigent.
People think you should just give anything to a poor man and he will accept it. This government doesn't have that philosophy. If you're going to give something to someone, give them something good. Give them something decent. And these houses that we are building for indigent people are 2-bedroom concrete houses built with 6 by 8 by 16 blocks. Plastered, painted. The only thing that that house doesn't have is a tile floor, but it has a float finish floor. There's a toilet and bath in it, a kitchen area, a living room, and 2 bedrooms.
The Honourable Minister of Local Government was speaking at the National Commission for Self-Help Limited's Minor Repair and Reconstruction Grant Distribution in Sangre Grande. At the event, 42 persons received grants to the tune of $10,000 each to assist in their particular situations. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
This is News 4, informing, educating and inspiring a culture of national pride. When we come back, good news for senior citizens. Stay with us. Welcome back. Senior citizens have been given the opportunity to make services or the services offered to them better. Now, this comes as they had a say in how the aging unit of the Ministry of the People and Social Development works for them.
The Ministry of the People and Social Development has once again embarked on another leg of its outreach program, this time in Brazil Village to represent East Trinidad. The Aging Unit of the Ministry held its 7th annual Public Open Forum to engage senior citizens and bring closer many of the services that may appeal to them. Director of the Aging Unit, Ms. Jennifer Rouse, says the program's intent is to move into communities that are distant from the unit's Port of Spain offices.
We began this program in 2006, and what we did every year since then, we visit 4 communities in Trinidad, and at the time we visited 2 in Tobago. So to date we have covered 34 communities in Trinidad, and we have done 6 in Tobago, at least 7 in Tobago, at the invitation of the Tobago House of Assembly. And this forum is really for you to tell us your concerns. And it is not only for problems, because there are ideas that you have as well with regards to how we do what we do, whether what we are doing is not in sync with what you would like, and we should stop doing some of what we are doing and put our energies in another direction, or to change some of what we do and do it differently.
There was a presentation on the services that are offered specifically to senior citizens. Ms. Rouse noted that not only are the programs of the Ministry of the People and Social Development showcased, but also those of other ministries that may be of relevance. She believes that such an initiative is of great importance.
We know that even at a legislative level, there is no formal forum for older persons to voice their concerns, to hear their voices. And this is the thinking behind this public forum, because it is done abroad. It is done in developed countries. So all this is our way of bringing some of those ideas to Trinidad and Tobago, where we do not want our older persons to disengage and feel as if they are no longer productive citizens, feel as if they are invisible, feel as if, well, why I should mention that, because, you know, I don't want to feel miserable. That is not the thinking. We see you as a resource. We see you as having lived long enough to have had the experience to know what things you would like to see done, what your concerns are so that some of the information you share with us will go and move towards informing us how to shape and tailor our programs better for you.
Those in attendance had the opportunity to ask questions and make suggestions, all of which were entertained by Ms. Rouse and the staff of the ministry. Before year's end, the unit expects to host 2 other public forums in Erin to appeal to residents of Deep South and another in West Trinidad. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Vasha Pratipada is the Hindu New Year, also known as Ugandi. The celebrations for this auspicious event was held recently. We tell you more in this report.
It is the first day of the Chantira, the first month of the lunar year. The day is significant both for its historical importance and the advent of bountiful nature. The day falls in the beginning of spring, when the goddess of nature gets bedecked as a divine bride. The day aptly carries the assurance to human life.
This is why our theme for this year is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that the entire universe, the entire world is one family. There's an interconnectedness between every single living entity in the universe. And that interconnectedness is the divine string, the cord that brings and holds everything together.
It fills the human spirit with optimism and hope about one's future and injects in him courage and confidence in facing the trials and tribulations of life, both as an individual and a nation.
As an individual, as a society, as a nation, as a civilization secures its future, the present generation is taken care of.
Last year, marking the 50th anniversary of independence of Trinidad and Tobago, Varasha Pratipada inspired to mark the beginning of a new era for the nation as well as the beginning of our Hindu community. The Hindu community believes that the next 50 years must be a period of development and investing. It is with this in mind that they have come together to mark Varasha Pratipada as a continuity of their ancient tradition of renewal, but also to mark a confident response to the present challenge of a Caribbean circumstance. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
When we come back, footballing action. Stay with us. Football features in our News 4 Sportscast as Trinidad and Tobago went down 3-0 to Peru at the National Stadium in Lima on Tuesday night. The hosts coming off a 1-0 victory over Chile last Friday at the same venue, which kept their 2014 World Cup dreams alive. Now, Peru did not let off the gas and delighted their home fans with a polished performance against a Trinidad and Tobago team that used the encounter as a tune-up for the CONCACAF Gold Cup in July. Now, according to TTFF media, goals by Jordi Urania, Paulo Hurtado, and Christopher Gonzalez did the damage for Peru, with TNT's best chance being a right-footed crack from Chris Burchell, which hit the crossbar 7 minutes into the second half. The Warriors started with Cornell Glenn up front as the lone striker, as Stoke City's Kenwyn Jones was left on the bench. Caledonia AIA midfielder Keon Edwards, defender Aubrey David, and goalkeeper Marvin Phillip were the men coming into the starting team. The visitors struggled to find momentum in the first half as Peru controlled the run of play for large periods. Glenn managed to hold the ball up at times, but there was a lack of support for him around the penalty box, and there was little creativity in the middle of the park for the Warriors. But TNT, captained by Denzel Theobald, deserved credit for maintaining shape and discipline, at least up until the closing stages of the match. They faded at the end and conceded as Peru shifted gears in the closing 15 minutes. Phillip did, however, pull off a couple strong saves to deny Jefferson Fafa and Daniel Chavez. CONCACAF Gold Cup preparations will continue for the Warriors with 2 away friendlies in the first week of June. Trinidad and Tobago opens its Gold Cup campaign against El Salvador in New Jersey on July 8th before facing Haiti on July 12th and Honduras 3 days later in Houston. News 4 continues after the break. Stay with us. Residents of two neighboring constituencies are benefiting from grants distributed by the National Self-Help Commission Limited.
So far for 2013, the Commission has responded to 14 fires. Those fires would have seen the loss of homes, parents and children were separated, and all material possessions destroyed. We have noted that in many of the cases, the houses burned because of faulty wiring, extension cords, open flames, and, believe it or not, absolute carelessness.
Delivering remarks at the National Commission for Self-Help Limited's minor repair and reconstruction grant distribution in Sangre Grande, Chairman of the Commission, Mr. Suraj Deomangaru, says a new approach has been adopted at the Commission, which he terms the reinforced proactive approach. 42 persons within the Toco Sangre Grande and Camuto Manzanilla constituencies received funding to assist them in their various circumstances, each to the tune of $10,000.
This funding, though it may not be fully adequate, can be used as a start for you and your family. A start that has been given to you by our government so that you may improve your current living conditions.
He says discussions are ongoing with the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Services and the Electrical Inspectorate to embark on a public education campaign to prevent incidents from occurring. The two MPs of the benefiting areas recognized the Commission for the work it has been doing.
We want to assure you that we will continue to be there to serve you and ensure that we do exactly what the program is designed to do, to increase and improve the standard of living of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago.
I think Camuto Manzanilla received a lot of grants from the Commission, and for that I want to thank you all very much. For far too long, these grants were available and it wasn't filtering down to the people who really needed it. And for the first time in a long time, and since this government took over, and I think it's the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister, to see work being done in the critical areas and in the crucial areas and the people who really need it, the poor.
The National Self-Help Commission falls under the Ministry of Local Government, and Minister Suraj Ratan Rambichan spoke of the role he played in its establishment.
In a little trace called Platinic Trace, the first self-help job was done between the St. Patrick County Council and TNTEC to put lights on that area, where the residents got the poles and TNTEC ran the lines, and we electrified a village that was not electrified. So when in 1986 we became the government under the NER, I approached Mr. Robinson to put in the manifesto that self-help would be something that would be formalized as part of the government. I've never forgotten this. I was walking along Cipriani Boulevard in Port of Spain with Mr. Gerald Hadid, the managing director and owner of Beacon Insurance. And I got a message from Mr. Robinson that I should visit his office from Mr. Hadid. And he wanted to talk to me about self-help. And when I went there, he told myself and Mr. Hadid to prepare a paper that can form a policy document for introducing self-help on a formal basis in Trinidad and Tobago. And I feel very proud that that effort in Platinic Trace and the policy document that was done by myself and Mr. Hadid, and we are assisted also by Mr. Clive Pantin in that document, who subsequently went on to form FEEL, that the National Self-Help Commission was born and became a formal institution.
Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
It was a spectacular showdown at the Holy Name Convent's art exhibition. The most creative young minds put out their masterpieces for all to see. Verna Barath has more.
Lower 6, Upper 6 and Form 5 SB art pieces of wax, masking tape, colored pencils and various other fabric were all on display during the school's week-long art exhibition. The students were said to have been working on the various pieces for 1 year. Lower 6 art student Tanya Bedu says art creates the ideal avenue to express herself in the best way she knows how.
I was into art so much since I was a little girl. I used to draw cartoons in books. I used to have tons of copybooks, just random stupid little drawings like a house with pizza falling out and whatever, because I loved animation and I was always interested in the arts and being able to create something that I wanted. It was my way of just putting out what I had, because I'm not the best of persons with words.
The talented young artist in the making has created some masterpieces which she proudly displays. This headpiece, she says, was made of plastic cast, wire, paint and glitter. Her dream, she reveals, is a career in computer animations.
It's quite exciting just thinking about getting to wake up every morning and get to do what you want. And it's always heard, oh, I want to do something I love doing, and yay. But when you do art, it's amazing because you can create something, and especially animation. I love to see little children come out to these cinemas and they're like, oh, mommy, I saw this, and they're so happy. Even if they don't understand the storyline, just seeing these bright characters moving around in the storyline and what it can say. Simple things like Winnie the Pooh, or what's another one? Roly Poly Oly, like all those old things, Blue's Clues, Dalmatians. Everybody loves them because they're classics.
Diana LaPlatte's works of genius were also quite elaborate.
I got some inspiration and I decided to do a staircase, not just a plain staircase, but as a triptych, which is one piece divided into 3 parts. And the staircase is like the staircase of life. And to reach where you have to go, you have a long journey to take. And the journey may have obstacles, but if you want to get to that destination, you would go over the obstacles.
Teachers at the school say the students are some of the best in the country. They are also highlighting the great distance in which art penetrates in Trinidad and Tobago, where individuals have the opportunity to explore and excel in the area via government scholarships, for instance.
I think there are opportunities everywhere around you. There are a lot of opportunities in Trinidad, especially when our girls go away to university and they bring their skills back home, as well as a lot of them will continue outside. But Trinidad is, to me, a big mecca of art just all around us, everywhere.
I'm very happy about the fact that the girls are not only getting the scholarships from the Trinidad and Tobago government and open schools and additional schools, but lots of our girls have gotten scholarships from some of the best universities in the world based on their portfolios.
Next year's exhibition is greatly anticipated. Verna Barath, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 Report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barato. Thank you for joining us.